Before we begin, there may be variations in audio quality due to recording conditions. We appreciate your understanding and hope you enjoy the conversation. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Fender Gender. I'm Eyma, a trans man, filmmaker, and motorcycle lover, just out here figuring shit out like the rest of us.
And I'm Maxine, your friendly neighborhood trans girl, lover of motorcycles, and part-time agent of chaos.
We're two trans folks with big feelings and bigger opinions, riding through life and talking about the shit nobody else wants to say out loud.
Every week we unpack something real: gender, grief, passing, panics, friendships, families, all of it.
This is not your clean-cut corporate podcast. It's just us, no filters, no rules, no binaries.
Let's get into it.
LJ, you've been around the skate community and you've also been around universities. And I'm going back to school soon and I'm kind of dreading it because I dislike how pretentious people are in the universities. And I feel that when I'm around like more casual, kind of like down to earth settings, like people still treat me weird for being trans, but it's easier to spot and it's easier to confront. Whereas in like very like pretentious, like high class settings, I think people are like just as much transphobic, but they tend to do it in a way that's like very subtle and hard to talk about. And I was curious if you have any experiences in those settings that like, I don't know if you find the same pattern or if you find that those places are, one is like more chill than the other.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because the skate community and the university community both have very different presentations of how they accept, or rather sometimes don't accept, trans individuals. And it's largely dependent on, I think, well, yes, the factors of the social setting. So the idea that in universities you have to have a certain propriety, have a certain expectation about how you accept others because you're under these institutional barriers or these institutional like rules. And I think that it's interesting because the institution has these rules in place and they aren't necessarily even rules that they themselves find important to uphold. They just feel pressured to uphold them from the other end of perspectives, if that makes sense. It's sort of like because they feel expected to. The institution upholds these ideas because they feel expected to uphold these ideas, I think. And then in the end, they don't necessarily defend the people who need to be defended when it comes down to it. So trans individuals aren't always protected in the way they supposedly are. But I think that other people who are maybe not very tiptoe around those ideas and then are afraid to misstep, but often also subtly, passive aggressively misstep in ways that perhaps they think they get away with. So that is, I think, institutionally a very sort of strange paradigm or strange thing that I've noticed in universities, is that there is this passive aggressiveness, and it stems from a place that is, I don't know where it stems from, but it definitely, I've noticed it for sure. And so that, especially being non-binary, that has been quite prevalent because when I entered university, I was already passing as male. So that was really interesting to feel like, okay, I'm a part of what feels like a male demographic now, but I still mentally, I want to go sit with like women. I want to go, talk to women. And that's something that I think has visibly been a very hard part of transition for me, is feeling like I can't be in female social circles in the same way that I used to be able to. And I do to some extent because, and I wonder if it's because I'm non-binary, want to interact with women in the same way I used to be able to, and be in those little, whatever they're called, like, like I want to be in the bathroom when they're talking about things, and I want to be able to like ask someone for a tampon and they won't look at me weird, things like that. So and I miss sort of interacting in a way in which I don't feel like people are on their guard, and that is something that I experience a lot at university, in university settings, often because they're young people who have a lot of sort of ideas about the way the world should work, and because of that, they haven't quite figured out that the world is not as straightforward as it might seem, to put it, pun not intended. But yeah, and then in longboarding and skateboarding circles, I think people are blunter to some extent. They'll say how it is and they'll not be afraid to say it. But there is often, I think, in skateboarding, a much more male-centric demographic, and that leads, I think, to a lot of open discrimination in a way that it's more hush-hush in universities, whether or not it's a definitive like rule in universities. People get around it either way. And then in longboarding circles, people just say it. They say, "What are you? What's going on? You gay or something," right? But then, of course, there are people who are trans themselves, trans women, and longboarding. And there was an event most recently, I remember, that this past year, it's been running for a very long time, longboarding community, and
in Victoria?
No, it's on Pender Island. It's run annually. People come from across the country and from the United States too, I believe, to go to it. It's called Danger Bay, and it's been running for a very long time, 25 years, I believe, or something. Always run by the same man. But there was an incident because there were two prominent trans women racers who were at the front of the starting line, and they drew straws, I think, and managed to stand they were in a more advantageous place at the starting line. It's a downhill longboard race, so fastest to the bottom. You all wear leathers, so like things make you go faster, and you like combat the wind and try and make to the bottom first. And I think what happened was, according to people who I've spoken with, I wasn't there myself, but the cis women who were transphobic walked off the starting line when the whistle was blown or whatever, and didn't participate in the race because they didn't believe the trans women had a right to be in that space or to be in the trans, like in racing with the women. And so that caused a giant uproar in the community and divided it in a way between the queer folks and the queer allies and the people who were discriminatory or bigoted and who thought that things had to be a certain way as the way they had been for a very long time. So that's the most recent instance. But I do see community still in skateboarding, the people who are trans, who are queer, and who are allies, but generally people who are trans and queer, all coming together and tightening around the people who sort of like holding the people who had that happen to them in a way that feels very positive. So I think it can bring you together. It can also push you apart. It depends on who you are and what you're involved with. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really in tune with like longboarding and stuff, but how does a trans woman participating hinder like a cis woman? it just doesn't make any sense.
Wait, it's very clear, because if you're a trans woman on a longboard, you've got a bit of extra weight between your legs, and that acts as a downward force that makes you go significantly faster. It's like if you're like holding like a giant lead barbell when you're going downhill race.
Yeah.
Unfair advantage, obviously. And the heavier bones. No, I'm just kidding.
They're gonna lose either way.
Yeah, they were fucked from the get-go.
People do put hammers on their skateboards. Some person, like, I think is a joke, like nailed a hammer to the bottom of their skateboard to go faster down the hill. The weight does help, but I don't know.
Sorry, I'm just in a jokey mood this morning.
Yesterday, actually, we were talking about there was this fencing controversy online. In fencing, like there are no gender roles. So men can compete against women, vice versa. And there was this woman who decided to not compete and literally walked off because she had to face a trans woman. And of course, the right wing people, they cheered that on. She even made a GoFundMe and got conscious of money and support from that. But a lot of people called her out as well. They're like, this doesn't make any sense because there are no rules based on gender in fencing. So what's the point of walking off? At this point, I think people are just outraged for no reason. They just want attention because it doesn't make any sense.
I think it's similar in longboarding. It's really not. There's really no bodily advantage to be of either, and I don't think that it makes sense at all. But I think that folks, especially since it's such a male-dominated industry in skateboarding, feel very threatened by the idea that, oh, all these people are transitioning and going over to being women, and now we can't. Now we have less men. That's what. We have a lot of men.
No,
to
there's gonna be more women to make feminism more powerful. How will we ever?
They're not even in the same category, racing the same category. So what's the problem?
We keep joking that our evil plan is to turn as many cis people trans as possible.
Yeah, by 2030, everyone's gonna be trans.
I think it is funny the amount of trans folks who I was childhood friends with who have now grown up and been queer, and we like to joke around like who has the most powerful transition, who like synced their transition to everybody else's transition, who is the mother transition.
We're gonna create a trans aura so powerful that there will be like the most cis person walking by, and they'll look and they'll go, "Oh, I've always wanted to be the other gender."
Yeah.
Wow, I could live like that.
Yeah, I was saying yesterday that I wish that someone turned me trans, so I wouldn't have to wait until I'm 23 to start transitioning. Then I would have known when I was 12. Then I would have started earlier. If only someone turned me trans.
I do think it's funny not known until I was about 16 that it was even an option. I didn't have the chance to sort of explore that part of my gender that I thought maybe could have been explored if someone had told me earlier. So,
Yeah.
or someone not told me, but it revealed to me the choices that I might have had. Especially before I started growing grass, that would have been nice. Oh well. So,
One thing that I find really interesting is that when I talk to people who were born and raised in Canada, trans people, a lot of them say that they had no idea that was an option or even that trans was even a thing. And I grew up in Haiti, so my experience was different. I didn't know what trans was at all. But when I moved to Canada, I feel like my mom has put in her head that Canada is the reason that I'm trans. Like, Canada turned me into this queer person.
It's a godless country, so
I mean, that's our thought process. Yeah, that is our thought process behind it. And I'm meeting all of these people who had no idea, and they were living here, and they had no idea what it was. And she's blaming it on Canada. I'm like, well, they were living in Canada before I was here. They had no idea what it was. Like, the math is not mathing.
that's a crazy hot take. Everyone in Canada is turning each other trans.
I feel like I can see like it's not actual logic, but I can see the logic. It's like, oh, Canada's a secular country that has more tolerant LGBTQ laws. So obviously they're trying to turn everyone trans.
Yeah, I think that's her thought process behind that. And she thinks that if I was still in Haiti, then I would still be normal.
Yeah, I doubt that.
I know. I'll be miserable.
It's interesting.
Find a way, I think.
Yeah, to escape.
It's interesting because I have a brother who is very Orthodox Jewish, and he has been always very strange about my own gender transition. So yeah, I can understand to some extent. He's raised his kids in a very Orthodox way, and when I was quite young, when I'd first come out as trans, I think I was when I first come out as lesbian, like as gay, when I was a 9 or 10-year-old, my brother, I came out to my mother first and my father. They were totally fine with me being a lesbian. They were just a little unsure about the transition. They're fine now. But my brother, he said he went behind my parents' back, took me on a long walk and said, I don't want you to tell anyone that you're gay in my family. He said, I want to protect them from these North American ideals that being gay is like. He said, I want to protect them from people who might, I don't know what he was even thinking. But,
Yeah.
and then when I got older and I was still having sleepovers with my nieces at that point, and he would say, he came around when I sort of said I'm gay, and he said, I don't want you to have sleepovers with my kids anymore. And so that was quite jarring. And my mother and father rallied against him quite strongly. They said, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And then it's gone on though, for a very long time. And now he doesn't visit as much, right? Because we're in BC, and I find that it's a strange experience whenever he does visit, because the kids are all grown up now, so they can make their own decisions. But it's left a definite sort of mark on our relationship in a way that I can't move past, for sure. So I have very limited contact with my brother in that way. But yeah.
A lot of times I find that it's usually people who think like that and their kids actually turn out to be gay or somewhere on the queer spectrum.
You say you become the opposite of your parents, right? That's what they say, right? So it's quite funny.
I also thought it was interesting how, like, when you mentioned that now to the world, at least they see you as a cis man, since you're passing as a cis man, it is hard to hang out with the girls. And throughout like my transition, I feel like this is something that I had to sort of let go of, because all of my friends are women and I don't really mesh well with cis men. I think maybe I only have one cis male friend, and I thought I was maybe the only person going through that same like process of trying to hang out with the girls or trying to have conversations like with the girls, and then being a little bit hostile towards me, like, oh, why is a man talking to me, things like that. And I'm like, well, sort of like grieving that in a lot of ways and trying to let that go. I mean, I feel like I'm blaming the cis men. They've done so much shit. They've done so much shit that the girls don't even like trust them anymore. And I feel like this is something that I'm currently going through, and I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna leave it alone. It is what it is. It's either I detransition or I transition and accept it.
I thought you were going to say, or I make them all transition and then I can hang out with the boys.
I could. Actually, that's a good idea. My new
the grays into the boy.
Yeah, so I can hang out with them.
Yeah, just you and the boys.
Yeah.
That's what Saturday's for, right? Saturday is for the boys.
That's a thing.
That's the thing people were saying.
I didn't know that was
the
the thing.
5 years ago. In 2016, so many
2016 wasn't 5 years ago. That was 9 years ago.
3 years ago in 2016, everyone was saying that. Saturday, they would say for the boys. That's what Saturday is for.
What do the boys do on Saturdays?
Jack each other off. Suck
That's
each
the
other's
feeling.
dick, have sex, cuddle, watch Fortnite videos.
You know what? I believe it. I believe it.
I was never part of a circle jerk, unfortunately. But one time in high school, we would just like go hang out in my friend's basement and then drink alcohol and wrestle each other. So that was a good time.
I
It was
think
very violent, but also homoerotic at the same time.
I think a core part of learning I'm queer is like, oh yes, I've been in martial arts for a lot of my life, and being in proximity and close quarters with a lot of those people, I was like, yes, I'm attracted to women. Yes, that's for sure. As a little kid, I was like, something's different about me for sure. I don't think I look at girls the same way that other girls look at girls in my class.
Yeah.
But
Is that how you figured it out?
that I was like a gay woman when I was pre-transition, or
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think I knew that I never had an eye for boys from a young age, and then when I got old enough, I think I was 8 or 7 maybe, sort of process like the idea of attraction in the context of myself in relation to others. I went, well, I don't like boys. I know that. I sort of remember skipping down the street when I was a kid to my local park. I was allowed to walk there on my own. I remember very specifically skipping down the street in mid-spring towards my little local park and going in my head, thinking about my mother's friends who are a lesbian couple, and going, or my mother's friend who is a lesbian and then she is married to a woman. And so I remember going in my head and sort of realizing when things clicked into place, I went, I am what my mother's friend is. And then I went, a lesbian? And I went, I don't like that. And then I went, gay. And that could have been a sign, I guess, is I didn't want to label myself with the feminine or the woman identity like a lesbian. I went, I'm gay, whether or not I'm a gay woman. I didn't never like the word woman or girl. So I accepted girl because it was what I was given. Woman, I never really grew into that idea. So for good reason, I guess, in hindsight now. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so brave how you figured out everything at such a young age too. Personally, it took me so long to figure it out. I went to an all-girls school, Catholic school, so my upbringing was a little bit different. I just remember looking at the girls a certain way, but I didn't know what that was. I had like no idea. But everybody was dating boys. I'm like, well, this is normal, right? This is what girls do. So we're all gonna date boys. And then it took when I was like 14, and then I went on vacation to New York, spent like a couple of months, and then I started watching a bunch of like TV shows, and I was seeing girl on girl stuff. I'm like, this is interesting. And then I'm like, oh, I think this is it. I'm gay.
I think this is it. Definitely, I've had those sort of I don't know, like there's like furtive sort of looks or moments when I'm absorbing content that's not traditional queer. I go, there's a little tingle. I get a spidey sense. I'm like, something's interesting. And I remember that was the case with the Rock Horror Picture Show when I watched it when I was like 14, and it was with a film buff friend who was very straight. And I thought, and they were like, this is a cult classic. We have to watch this. And I went, okay. I watched it. I was like, something's funny. I can't figure out what. Something's different.
Right?
And I was like, yeah, it was different.
I've only seen that movie one time, and I went to see it at the Rio Theater, where it's like a whole event. They had a contest beforehand where there were a bunch of people like faking an orgasm with noises, and they rated them. And that was super entertaining. But then they played the movie, and every single line of the movie, the audience would say like a response line. And I couldn't understand anything that was going on. I'd probably smoked like 3 or 4 joints that night. I was really stoned. I took an edible too. And I got so anxious that I had to leave the theater halfway through. And to this day, I could not tell you a single thing that happened in that movie.
That's so funny. I definitely think that it's such a cult classic that everybody has some sort of ritual surrounding it, and I never understood. I've seen it live performed as a play, and that was very interesting with almost all queer cast in Victoria, and that was very cool. But I definitely have never been to a live screening, and definitely never that intoxicated. I think I would also have to walk out if I was in a state like that.
Yeah, I got very anxious, and people were throwing stuff at the screen.
Throw
and
popcorn,
yelling.
right?
Yeah, they gave you a bag of things to throw, but I didn't want to throw them because I was afraid I was going to hit the person in front of me.
You're like, oh, a bag of things, I need this.
So I was just anxious. I wasn't thoughtful, I was just anxious. Sometimes people think that if I don't do something bad, it's because I'm thoughtful, but sometimes I'm just anxious.
Held back not by what you expected.
Yeah.
That's funny.
There's a Gemini in you.
How do I get the Gemini out of me?
I don't know. I don't think you can. Jim, your date of birth?
And I like scoop it
Gemini.
out with a little shovel or something.
The Gemini is what made you transition. No.
Yeah, well, I'm both. And if people ask me, like, what makes you feel like a woman? I say I'm both and neither. And they'll say, that doesn't make sense. And I'll say, I don't care.
You'll say it's because I'm a Gemini.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
All
Yeah.
trans people Geminis.
No,
No.
that's a very easy question. Thank you for giving me an easy one to answer.
Oh yeah, and here.
I'll say, what is 1 + 1?
I don't want to do math. I don't have to do that for another couple of
The
semesters.
answer is 3.
Hmm?
The answer is 3.
Oh, I don't want. I don't want to do.
You cosine? No, it's 4 because you have 1. No, it's 6. Wait, you. Never mind.
Thanks for that.
I was giving you an example of an easy question, but
This
turns
was
out
part of
it's
my
not easy.
contract. No, I see.
Math scene here as a BA in math. So you're failing math, Maxine.
Meanwhile, I've just been a writing major. I'm just a writing major and a
Like,
teacher.
I'm just a writer. I don't want anything to do with this.
Who's your
can't-
favorite author right now that isn't yourself?
It isn't. Well, of course, I wouldn't say myself. I would never say I'm my favorite author.
My favorite author is myself.
I don't know if I have a favorite author. I have things that I'm reading right now, and I have people that I enjoy, ingesting the work of. But I don't have anyone particular that I'm like, this is my favorite author. I'm reading what is it right now? So Chain Gang All Stars, and that's a very interesting book.
So what's your social security number?
Oh my god.
Don't worry, we'll edit it.
Well, I did it out. Don't worry.
I don't have it. I'm not a math major. I don't have that memorized. Yeah.
I don't even know mine by heart.
I've had to do so much like paperwork recently because I've changed my name legally. So I actually remember my social security number now. But before I didn't.
What's yours?
I thought it was social insurance number.
936.
No.
That's not my real number.
Your
That's a
WhatsApp.
9
They have all
digit.
information.
Fine, right?
936
They have all
627
information on WhatsApp.
0043. Look at that's my social security number.
Mine is 69, 69, 69.
I'm lying.
What?
That's not my I just made up a number, so
That's so funny.
that's actually
I
too many
remember-
digits for a social security number, anyways.
When I work with my coworker, he loves to tell the children, I'll tell you my credit card number, but you have to memorize it. And then he'll say it as fast as possible. And then he'll say, you can spend whatever you want as long as you remember it. But you have to remember one try. Ready? Here it goes. No, they never remember.
You know what
So-
I would love to see is like a David Blaine like magician type set, but like he just like reveals people's personal secrets to them. Like, okay, pick a card. Is your credit card number this? They'll pull out their card and they're like, how do you know my credit card number? And he's like, and the CVC is 221 and the expiry date is 10/25. You're like, how do you know this? He's like, he just winks at the camera.
That's
Wait,
crazy.
Is this hypothetical?
Yeah, this is hypothetical. This is what I want to
It'd be
see.
very funny if it was real.
And then they
I would
like
watch.
check like bank account balance and they're like, one of your viewers just bought something with my credit card.
How are you doing this?
That's
You're like,
funny.
check your bank statement. I just bought a TV.
Check your bank statement. I just bought TV is waiting for you in your home.
That's it for this episode of Fender Gender. Thank you for being here with us as we build the space one convo at a time.
If this episode resonated with you, we want to hear it. You can stay anonymous. We've got a submission link in the episode notes.
And if you want to support Fender Gender and help us keep the mics rolling, head over to our Patreon. Every bit helps. We eventually have some bonus content coming your way. Links in the description. Subscribe, rate us, and tell your messy queer cousin to listen.
We'll see you next time.